Hey, how's it going guys? This is Dave 2D. When NVIDIA launched the GTX 1080, everyone was really impressed because it was such a big jump in performance from the previous generation. But I remember thinking that when the mobile chips launched, there's no way they're gonna be as good as the desktop chips, right? They never are. I was wrong. NVIDIA just launched the GTX 10 series for laptops. Here are 5 things you need to know. So basically every major laptop manufacturer is going in on this. They're all on board except for Apple. A lot of rumors are saying that the next generation MacBooks are going to use the Polaris 11 chips from AMD. Still a very capable graphics platform, but if you're an Adobe user and you want CUDA cores for rendering, it's not looking good for MacBooks. These are the specs for the desktop GTX 10 series cards. Lots of fancy numbers, all good stuff. And then these are the specs for the laptop chips. Also a lot of fancy numbers, but I want to draw your attention to a few things. First, the clock speeds on the mobile variants are reduced a bit, same with the boost clock speeds, but they have the same number of CUDA cores. Actually, the mobile 1070 has even more than the desktop version because of the drop in clock speed. But in previous generations, the mobile chips usually had like a 25 to 30% reduction in CUDA cores, not this time. They've also dropped the M moniker at the end of the name, so it's a GTX 1070, not a 1070M. Now most of the other specs, including the memory speeds and bandwidth, are the same between the desktop and laptop version. Gaming laptop screens have always run at 60 Hz, so if you had frame rates above 60 frames per second, you couldn't see it, but competitive gamers want higher refresh rates. On desktops, they'll run 120 or 144 Hz panels to help with reaction time. And if you've never gamed on a 120 or 144 Hz screen, you should try it, it's something special. So NVIDIA has worked with manufacturers to bring out 1080p and even 1440p displays running at 120 Hz on these new cards. You're gonna get some very buttery visuals. I just got these updated drivers from NVIDIA, but with preliminary testing on the GTX 1070, I'm getting around 15% better frame rates than the GTX 980M from the previous generation. NVIDIA claims that the performance on these mobile chips will be within 10% of the desktop version. So if you're interested in the performance of a specific game, just look up the card that you're interested in, subtract 10% from the desktop card, and that should theoretically be the performance of the mobile card. They're very fast and they can be factory overclocked. But with all this increased performance comes increased power consumption, and that's where things get a little interesting. The exact TDP of these chips haven't been announced, but NVIDIA has said that they're supposed to be around these numbers. The TDP from the GTX 900 series were lower, and these are those numbers. You're getting better performance with Pascal, but it uses more power, and as an example, the 2016 Razer Blade is getting refreshed with Pascal chips, but Razer's actually replacing the 970M with a 1060, not a 1070, because thermally, the chassis that it's in can't dissipate more heat than that. And thermal performance is one of the reasons why Apple doesn't use NVIDIA chips in their current laptops. The top spec AMD chip that they use right now has a TDP of just 50 watts. Thermally, on the G752 running the GTX 1070, it never got super hot or anything, and the keyboard area stays cool even during benchmarks. The exhaust does get hot. The fan is also pretty audible on load. It's not horribly loud or anything, but you will need headphones to play games. These new Pascal chips have great performance, but they don't come cheap. See, AMD is really the only competitor to NVIDIA, and right now, AMD doesn't have an answer to Pascal, let alone mobile Pascal. So NVIDIA can charge whatever they want on these chips, and people will buy them. So right now, at the very base model for the GTX 1060 laptops, you're looking at $1,300 at a minimum, probably around $1,500 for the average gaming laptop that has one. This laptop here, the G752, is gonna run you $2,500, so it's a very expensive investment. Overall, I'm very excited about these chips. I think they have an incredible performance boost from the previous generation, but they won't come cheap. I will be doing reviews as they come in. Subscribe to this channel if you're interested. Give me some thumbs if you liked this video, subs if you loved it. It's been nice. I'll see you guys next time.